it's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts, Stampin' Up! Independent demonstrator based in the UK. Today I've got another top tip for you, and it's sort of a tip and it's sort of a did you know you could do this sort of thing. So I love the Floral Romance seals that are in the Spring Summer catalogue. I think they're beautiful, the fact they look like they are a seal. So in wax, but did you know you can do the same thing with embossing powder and your stamps? So I've got a sample here that I've made using touches of texture. So this is embossed in white embossing powder, and this is my version of a seal. Now, the key to this is the shape. Well, there's a number of keys, but for me, the easiest shape to cut is something that is rectangular. If you are able to cut thick card, and by thick card I mean the grey board that we have some of our more delicate papers backed in, and I think the foils maybe come with this round it, but it's that grey board. So for me, I don't have anything that I can cut circles with out with that, or out of that even, but I can do rectangles because I've got a heavyweight guillotine. You could also use a craft knife. So those are the sort of options that you have. I wouldn't use the stamping trimmer. It's just not, it's not built for this sort of thing. But anything kind of really meaty. I wouldn't use punches either. Not that I think you'd get the card in. Anyway, the first thing is, how do you do it? So this I've done with silver embossing powder and, as I say, touches of texture. Let's pop those to one side. I've also done a copper one, and this was the heart from Woodwords. But I'm now going to show you how I made these two, which they're the same. And this is using the Meant to Be stamp set, which is in the Spring Summer catalogue. So this is using the heart from there. This is the touches of texture. So I used these two stamps and these two stamps to make this card. So first things first, this really is only good for rubber stamps. I wouldn't recommend it for photopolymer. Photopolymer are a more delicate stamp. Red rubber stamps are made by heating the rubber, so they're used to being hot, and you are going to need to get your embossing powder hot, and I do mean hot. I would stress this is not a new technique. I've been doing it for years and I've just remembered. So you are going to need something to protect your work surface with, and you are going to need some Versamark ink. I would suggest it's a pad that you're not too precious about, because it may end up with embossing powder on it. So I'm going to use the lovely lipstick embossing powder from the 2018-2020 in colour embossing powder set, which has obviously got all of the embossing powders. I've tipped all bar the shouting, all of it, I've just got a tiny bit left, into one of our deep embellishment pots, but you could use anything. Anything that contains it. You could do it on paper. I personally wouldn't, but there we go. So I've cut a piece of our grey board. Now this is not a quick process, just so you know. So the first thing you need to do is to just push your grey board into your embossing ink. Obviously you don't need an embossing buddy, because the whole point is you want all of it covered with your embossing powder. And then I've got my old piercing tool, and move my embossing powder out of the way, because you do not want your embossing powder in the sight of your heat tool. I just realised that one of my lamps may be in camera. Let's just move it, there we are. Heat your heat tool up, and then just going to keep this in place just on the corner. This is where you can actually, sorry about the noise, go as near as you want, because trust me, you're not going to warp the card, but you want to melt your embossing powder. You don't want to burn it, although at this point it's not vital. So that's the first pass. Let's close the noise down. So that's how it looks first time. Now that's really not quite what we're looking for. What we're looking for is nice and smooth and shiny, and this at the moment is a little bit shiny but not nice and smooth. So there are actually two ways of doing this, and it really depends on how quick you are. You can, when it's still hot, just dump it back in the embossing powder. Possibly not at this first stage, but then what you can also do is when it is set, put it back in your Versamark, and then I put it in the right way up and shake, and this is why I've used one of the deep embellishment pots, because if you shake it, the embossing powder will actually go over the top of your piece of card and will cover it nicely. Move that out of the way again, and again you're going to hold it in one place and heat it up. I love these colours, I'm just saying, they are gorgeous. You may have seen me do my February thank you cards had the Grapefruit Grove embossing powder on, and they were on very vanilla and they stayed Grapefruit Grove. Now we are getting there. You can see that this is beginning to get as smooth and shiny as this one. You probably need to do 4 or 5 layers. It really depends. I've done 4 already on this one just to help speed things up, because we're now at the point where frankly you're not seeing anything new. So let's pop that back in our little pot, and as you put more layers on, you'll find that more embossing powder will attach itself to your piece of card because it is a smoother surface, therefore it's picking up more ink, therefore it's attaching more embossing powder. Now at this point you need to get your stamp, and I'm using the same stamp that I used before, so they're meant to be a little heart with the lines. You want something with some pattern in it. I mean, you don't have to, you can use just a flat shape, but I find it is a little, it's more effective if it's got a pattern on it. So ink it up with your Versamark and get it ready. Heat your embossing powder again. Now this is going to take a little bit longer to melt because it's got cool, but it will melt. There we go. And you want this to be really hot and really, really liquid. And you can, I don't know if you can see, but it actually starts, is it beginning to go? Yeah, it starts to actually move round. So it's become molten, and I can move it round with the heat gun. And at that point, you just pop your stamp in. You want to do it when it's definitely molten. Pop your stamp in. It's not going to be a precise placement. And there you go. Now, this does happen with the coloured embossing powders sometimes. So you may find that the colour splits. So there's white as well as colour, which I just think is just nice. This is still quite hot, so it's still not quite the same colour as this. It will cool and become more lovely lipstick. It's still, as I say, a bit hot. But there you go. Make your own stamped, heated seals. If you can get a circle, and bearing in mind that you don't need it to be absolutely precise, then why not go for it? What I would say is don't go too small, because to actually get it where you want it to be, bit difficult. But if it happens that it doesn't look right when you do it, guess what? All you need to do is melt it down again. So this will split, But can you see it's beginning to melt? And then what I would do is put another layer. What I would do is then put another layer of Versamark, another layer of embossing powder, melt it again, and then do it again. But how's that for fun? Do be careful, it is hot, and I mean really hot. I'm going to see if I can get it to be really, really, really molten, and I will show you just how liquid it becomes, because I'll just concentrate on one area. You are heating this to I do not know how many degrees. Ooh, let's use the old embossing piercing tool. So yep, that's gone. Look, that's completely liquid. So, oh, turn that off. So do just be aware, and isn't that a nice effect? Ooh, that's nice. So you can, with these coloured ones, they will split between white and the colour, and you can get a nice lump of embossing powder on your piercing tool. Luckily it's the one that I dropped on the floor. But yeah, like that a lot. Ooh, I can feel some fun coming on. Anyway, I can see two-tone embossing coming on. Anyway, so yes, just be aware it does get very hot and very molten. Fortunately, it will come off the end of your embossing tool once it's dry, your piercing tool rather, once it's dry, so not to worry too much, but you do not want to get your fingers in that when it's hot, so please be careful. This is definitely one for adults only, and I wouldn't even say children with adult supervision. But I hope you have found that interesting, useful, inspiring. I think it's just a lovely technique. So do give it a go. I would love to see the results that you come up with. It does warp your grid paper a bit, but hey, this isn't the paper, the floral paper, which is just lovely. So in case you hadn't noticed, floral grid paper, while stocks last. Item number 150819. I'm hoping that by the time you see this, my delivery will be with me, but waiting for it. And it's on the flyer that is about the Stamping Up, the storage by Stamping Up, which is on my website. It's on the sidebar of my website. If you click on that, you will go straight over to see that. What I would say is the grid paper, our normal grid paper, which is the same price, £11, has 100 sheets. The floral grid paper is single-sided and has 50 sheets. So it's not quite the same as this. I can't even tell you whether it's the same weight, because that's in the same box as my storage, which, as I say, hopefully will be with me on Tuesday when you see this. But it really depends on how UPS get on with delivering it. So, yes. Anyway, thank you very much indeed for watching. That was a digression, wasn't it? If you enjoyed this technique tip, please give it a thumbs up. As I say, it's not new, but I think it's a fun technique and one to raise up again. Did I say I did it in copper with woodwords? I think I did. The different embossing powders do take different amounts of layers. Some of the grains are slightly larger than others, so you do need to just look at when it's going really molten. But I love this technique. I'm going to have to start using it again. Thank you very much indeed for watching. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. If you want any more information, there's an associated blog post which is in the description bar below, and I'll have information about how to do this and tips of how to make sure it doesn't end up as a molten blob. And yeah, if you would like to subscribe to my newsletter, you can do that over on my website as well. You can also subscribe to the website itself, and you'll get notified when I post a new post on my blog. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is the button on the bottom right hand corner. I love it when people subscribe. I really enjoy seeing all your comments. Please, 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 please leave me comments if you would like to. I always reply to the comments. It may take me a little while, but I do always reply to comments. Oh, and another thing, I have started letting you know what colour nail varnish I wear. It's always Nails Ink, but I have had quite a few requests for what colour nail varnish are you wearing? So I am now on my associated blog post, right at the very bottom underneath the dimensions, I am listing what colour nail varnish I am wearing in any particular video. It does mean I have to remember what I'm wearing and I don't always shoot in order, but never mind. Anyway, enough jibber jabber. Thank you very much indeed for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon.